presented Caira's vision towards the security and stability issues in the African continent. This statement said speaking of the launch of the EU Center for Post-War Development and Reconstruction in December 2021, it said Shukri also stressed the need for joint action to deal with the root causes of international instabilities in some African states. While on the sidelines of his participation, Shukri is to meet with a number of African counterparts to discuss means of cooperation and boosting bilateral relations, in addition to exchanging points of view on issues of mutual concern. To shed more light on that issue and the meeting of the African Union, we are very much delighted to be joined over the phone by Ambassador Hussein Hareedy, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Ambassador Hareedy, good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, madam.
Ambassador Hareedy, how do you weigh the care and interest by the African Union and the African states to issue related to the climate change?
Well, of course, Egypt will host the next conference on climate change of the United Nations, Conference 27, at the end of this year.
Yes.
And of course, Egypt will, in consultation with other African countries, would present the African case as far as climate change is concerned, and its impact, its negative impact on the African continent.
Indeed.
So I guess the upcoming African summit is important from an Egyptian point of view in this sense. Of course, there are other questions, no less important, that would be on the agenda of the summit, and all these items concern the national interest of Egypt, foremost among them fighting terrorism, promoting inter-African trade, and last but not least, the question of the Renaissance Dam.
Yes.
Of course, the African Union is playing a significant role in trying to bridge the differences between the outstanding differences between among the three riverian countries, Ethiopia, Egypt, and Sudan. So I guess the upcoming African summit is significant, important, and I believe, I expect that the African leaders would reach very good decisions that would help in solving the questions that have beset Africa for long.
Indeed. Sir, also during the meetings of the Climate Change Committee, Cairo discussed the stability and security issues. How does the climate change directly or indirectly, Mr. Ambassador, impact the security and stability of the African states?
And if we take one example, desertification.
Yeah.
Of course, desertification is a growing problem for Africa. Desertification leads to immigration, leads to poverty, and these are fertile grounds for terrorist groups, either to recruit young men who are looking for jobs but they cannot find jobs, or to disseminate to propagate their extremist ideology in these poorer areas that don't have a hope in the future. So I guess this is one example, only one example. But Africa, let me stress that Africa is really impacted negatively with the climate change, whereas in the meantime, its contribution to the emissions, to the carbon emissions in the world is very minimal. So it has no responsibility whatsoever in the emissions of the carbon emissions, but in the meantime, it has suffered from the negative impact of these emissions as far as agriculture is concerned, desertification is concerned. So Africa really is suffering from climate change. And another aspect of the problem is, while the world working on green energy,
Yeah.
African countries don't have enough financial resources
Yes.
to make this change from fossil fuels to the green economy. So the Sharm el-Sheikh Summit on Climate Change at the end of this year would deal with this particular question, madam, of financing. How the donor countries, the most industrialized countries, could help Africa turn into green energy.
Yes. Sir, also the EU Commission Chair Musa Faki Mohammed told leaders at the opening ceremony of the African Union Summit that the security situation in Africa required actually the bloc to take new approach and called for more active inter-African solidarity. What step can be taken in order to increase the African solidarity and stance?
Well, when we discuss the security issue in the African context, we have to take into